A new version of Football Manager has come out since we did the last Football Manager streams, the infamous getting Ricardo Castro out of Gateshead streams. And so a new version of the game means a new manager to introduce you to. Now, a little bit about my philosophy of Football Manager. A lot of people seem to think that it's a sports simulator, right? It's a tactical game, but that's not true. Anyone who plays Football Manager can basically win. You don't even really need to know all that much about world football to do it. It seems to be heavily biased in the game engine towards the human players. You generally get your way eventually. It might take you a while to get there, and there are definitely some players that are better than others, and some people have an understanding of the game, but eventually you'll win a trophy. Eventually you'll end up with a team that you have some sort of comparative success in. It's almost impossible, for example, to be dog shit your entire career, which, of course, we know in real life that isn't true. Just look at Sam Allardyce. So, for me, the game is a role-playing game. You have to make it interesting for yourself. And that's what I do. Basically, I role play as a character. I choose a character. I create a backstory. The backstory informs the personality. The personality is then carried forward into the game. And so it goes without saying that we're going to be doing that today. And this is something I've been doing for a long time. It's not something I do for the stream. It's not something I recently invented. I was doing this at university, or a long time ago, back when Football Manager had just moved away from being Championship Manager. And it was the same then. I had a number of characters, Ricardo Castro being one of them, and another one that we'll get to today, Ian Amin. Ian Amin is a half Ugandan, half Scottish sort of wandering manager, disciplinarian, very authoritarian. And obviously, it's his dream to manage Celtic, like all good Catholics. So, a little bit about why Uganda. Uganda is my one of my favorite countries in the world. It's such a diverse country, just in terms of all the different tribes that exist out there and all of the languages that they all speak. I think there's something like 50 languages spoken in Uganda just by itself, with all the tribal dialects and languages that they speak. And it's been one of my favorite countries for a long, long time, because in 1972... some of you will know, there was a brutal dictator in charge of Uganda called Idi Amin. And what he did was he decided to expel all of the Asians and all of the Jewish people. That was his big plan for fixing Uganda. And so there was about 70,000 people kicked out of Uganda. And because it was a British Commonwealth country, they obviously had the right to come to Britain. So I grew up in the 80s, and where I lived, and I've lived across Wales and the northeast near Newcastle. I lived in very poor areas, slum areas essentially, and I met Asian people that had been expelled by Idi Amin where I lived, because the big cities at the time actually issued sort of edicts saying, don't come here. Leicester was a famous city that said, please don't come here looking for work. And so the government intervened and tried to place people strategically around the country, because we had about 20,000 people coming to the country. And some of the first Asian families I got to know were actually from Uganda. And so it's always held a particular fascination for me, that country, as a result of it. And so it's been a great cause of sadness that I've never been able to play Football Manager in Uganda. But thanks to a chap on Steam called Tur the Deep 1987, To the Deep 1987 basically religiously creates mods for all of the African leagues. So he's done Uganda, Ivory Coast, Egypt. You can go and subscribe to those. Basically, this has now enabled me to do something I've always wanted to do, and that is a Ugandan Football Manager playthrough. Now, much like the Gateshead playthrough before that, I researched lots about Gateshead, if you remember, which was certainly easier to do. And we learned that their theme tune was Children of the Night, and we learned that they're called the Heed Army, and I bought a mug and all of that stuff. So I went sort of deep on it, and I just want to make it absolutely clear. The Ugandan League is crazy. It's crazy. I've been reading up on some of this stuff to sort of get into character. And, well, first of all, I'll show you the team I've decided to settle upon. It was touch and go. But for Ian Amin, it seemed there could only be one team out of all of the teams in Uganda that we would basically follow. And it would be this one. Blacks Power Football Club, known as Black Power or Blacks Power in the Ugandan FUFA Super League. Now, they only have 443 followers. I'm sure they will appreciate more followers. So do go and follow this club based in Bukadia in Uganda. And you can see there they play in the FUFA Big League. You can see here they've just announced some signings. And I'm very happy about this because when I started the game and went into selecting the team, all of the players are not real, apart from one. So, which means that the first few streams are, I think, me building a real team. That's gonna be the plan because they're just not real. They're the grayed out sub players that you only get to sort of field a team. But Boris Kwesi, who is going to be this playthrough's Victor Fundy, I can sense it, is actually on the roster. He's the only real player on the roster. And he signed from Water FC. And as you'll see, he's had kind of an interesting career. So we'll get a look at our guy here. Here he is. Good-looking chap. Wonderful smile. There he is signing the contract to play for Blacks Power Football Club. So, looking forward to working with this guy. He's actually got decent stats. I think he's going to blow it out the water in the Ugandan FUFA Big League. But here's the thing. So, I was on the fence about whether or not to go with this team. Because, obviously, there is another team that really caught my attention. And this should give you an idea of just how sort of, interesting Ugandan football is. I was toying with the idea of selecting Maroons Football Club, and you're going to say why, and that's because it is the official team of the Ugandan Prison Service, right? They own the prisons, and they own this team, right? And look, they even on their official football account, right? Look at this. To all prisons, all district prison commanders, please, this is to inform you, it has come to our notice, staff have started taking photos in the prison and posting them on social media platforms, which is against our rules and regulations. You are warned to desist from such acts, and any staff who get involved in such acts will be punished accordingly. They actually tweet out press releases for the Ugandan prison unit. And I do want to add, interestingly enough, the top scorer in the Ugandan league, Stephen Makwala, did play for Maroons FC. But even more interesting, if you go down here, their home ground is literally Luzira Prison Grounds. That's where they play their home games. So I was so tempted to be Maroons FC because that is insane to even think about, sort of managing the official club of prisons in Uganda. And I just want to show you one other thing. This is one of the sort of craziest match reports I've ever read. See, this is how deep I've gone into it to get into the law for the stream. I just want to read you this. This is an article on the Sports Nation about the FUFA Big League in Uganda. Kabongi abandons first game in charge as Paida lose to Black Power. And this was a game between Black Power FC and Paida Black Angels, where Black Power won 2-0. The Paida Black Angels' new head coach, Alan Kabonge, stormed off the pitch in his first game as they controversially lost 2-0 to Black Power FC at the Emakori Stadium. The hosts were awarded a penalty in the 85th minute after Sonko Ronald was judged to have handled in the area. The incident, which was opposed by the visitors, was in vain. Things turned rough as defender Adajiu Khalid and goalkeeper Otuba Joshua were stoned by the home fans. The visitors threw chairs at them in their defence, prompting Kabongi to abandon the game and walk off the pitch. Police later intervened to calm down the situation. If you are not into Ugandan football immediately, off the back of all of that, you got no soul and you got no passion for the game. Also, do want to add, Wales and Uganda have had an alliance for about 15, 20 years. We help plant trees out there for Uganda. I don't know how that relationship got predicated on, but we're rebuilding Ugandan forests out there. And there's a Welsh government drive to plant trees in Uganda. So, very good. It's like coming home for me. It's like coming home. So anyway, it's time to start the game. This is my man for this playthrough, Ian Amin. He's, flamboyant, but authoritative. And so here's the announcement. You can see here, Ian Amin has been announced as the manager of Black Power FC. It says here, eyebrows have been raised in the world of football at the appointment of the 35-year-old who has recently spent time away from club football, and he is sure to face plenty of questions when he faces the media for the first time at the Emakori ground. Amin has put pen to paper on a one-year deal worth £210 per week. Now, you laugh. I see people in the chat. £210 in the Ugandan league is fully PogChamp. It is Poggies, in fact, as the kids say. You have no idea how much money that is actually worth comparatively, and very competitive. Shows that the club's serious. His first game in charge will be against Luwero United in the FUFA Big League on the 23rd of October 2021. George Nsimbi was considered to be the favourite for the job, but it's unclear whether the club favoured Amin all along. Now we can see we've been formally welcomed. You can see we've got no other staff. There's no assistant manager, no director of football. We've never won any honours in our club history. We have 1,000 capacity stadium, and I can spend a grand total of £125 a week on my entire squad. So certainly looking forward to getting into that. So, and you can see we only have one player at the squad. That is the man Kwesi that we just saw. Let's see what the board's vision is. You can see I work within the wage budget. Yeah, I figured when I came to the FUFA Big League that would be true. We've got to reach the promotion playoffs. There's a league above the FUFA Big League. It's the Ugandan Super League, putting the Super in Super League right there. And we must get to the second round of the Ugandan Cup. I think these are all realistic and attainable goals based on my understanding of Ugandan football, which is very extensive. Also, yes, I will be holding a press conference. And here we go.
I let you off once before, but you still got the nerve to come back here and make trouble again. Eh? Amin.